Welcome, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is our Facebook Live session. It is not live, but we are going to upload a recording of this. It is the 12th of March, year 2025. Hope everyone is enjoying a little bit of warmer weather. It is a little bit warm here in Texas. So with that, let me welcome our panel. We have April here. Good evening, April, who is a psychic, a medium, quite a few modalities of healing under her belt. She's been on our panel for almost like 4 or 5 years. So welcome, April. We are honored to have you. And then we have Patricia here. Good evening, Patricia. Thank you for joining. Good evening. Patricia, did you want to ask your question to April, and then we can have a discussion around it? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, so it's a little bit of a share, and somewhere there it is a question, and it is also a question. It's double, a little bit about me and a little bit about April and our life experiences. So lately, and it's what our souls chose, and if we agree with that or not sometimes. So what happened is, I at this point of my life, I don't have a man in my life. I don't have a husband, a brother, a father here, really someone that I always thought I need to be protected by or cared. So what happened is my daughter went away for a week for her spring break, and she left her car in my parking lot next to the complex I'm living in. And I noticed last night, that her tire is flat. So normally in the past, if even something little like that other people deal with, no problem happens, I would panic very badly, feel that my heart racing, oh my God, what I'm gonna do going over through this. So I noticed the same feeling little, but with less of the physical sensations. My heart didn't race, so I was able to meditate about it, to understand that, I'll figure it out. There is a world full of people, services. I can call AAA, I can figure it out. So I went to bed. Like I said, I did a meditation to just calm myself down and forget, but I was waking up, and I had even slight headache. So I couldn't completely, even with the amount of presence I am able to be present, aware of, still the old stuff came. So like trying to use the perspective that things happen for a reason, but I don't necessarily need to know the reason right now. And in the old big scheme of things, maybe this flat tire is, and us fixing it here, on me fixing it, will save my daughter's life. It's like, but the immediate thoughts were, oh my God, I need a man to save me. It's like, it would be so easy for any of the guys that my father, my brother, my husband, ex-husband, that it would be, okay, boom, they would go and fix it. So I needed to look at that. And the other part of the question on April was sharing that we choose so many things sometimes to work through in this lifetime, that even we figures like, oh my God, I really chose this. It's too much. So I don't know if it makes sense, if it's more of like a share. And yes, I'm not there. I can't just laugh at this. My old stuff is coming up. And so that's relating to soul's journey, but also what Eckhart sometimes, I remember him talking about just the fact. So for me, saying the fact, okay, the tire is flat. So what can I do in this situation? It was night. I can't do anything. So I'm just leave it as it is and go to sleep. But I couldn't. Like I had that thought, but my old emotions were still at night taking over. Like before I went to bed, I was able to calm myself down. But once I lied down, I felt like I was taking over. And it's too much, right? Too much information. Know where the question is. But also a question about compassion. Like Eckhart states the fact. Let's say some accident happened or someone died. So he would just say, okay, that this is the fact. Someone died. So if you don't attach any story to it, you're not gonna suffer. But in the same time, how would you feel compassion if it's just a fact? So, so these are like multiple questions. I know April will navigate beautifully. So
We'll see. I don't know if I'll navigate beautifully. We'll see. So, uh, we have these patterns that we have, these ways of coping, these ways of thinking. These get neurologically wired into us, usually at a young age. And then we repeat these patterns so they become very ingrained. And we have to perform, do, behave, practice the new pattern long enough to make the old pattern weaker. I can't say go away because they don't actually ever fully go away. So the best explanation I ever heard about this is, we've all seen a picture of a brain and it has the grooves in it. So it's a good analogy, right? And the pattern that you have is like one of those grooves. And imagine that that groove is a path in the woods. You travel it so many times, it has worn down all the grass, the trees, the sticks, the twigs. You could just easily walk down that path. And then you want to make a change. You decide you want to walk down a different path. Well, you have to wear down the grass, the sticks, the twigs, the trees. It's not so easy. And it takes some time for it to get worn down to where you can easily walk down the path. And that is what you're doing in yourself when you're creating a new behavior. It takes a moment. It's not so easy. We have to keep doing it to make the path smooth and easy and flow. The brain also likes to take the fastest route. So you have this ingrained pattern, I do, we do, that we've been using for many, many years. And the brain knows how to use it. It doesn't even have to think to use it. It knows it so well, just does it. But if I want a new behavior, then I have to pay attention. I have to become conscious. I have to choose a different option. And what that does is it creates a new neural pathway, a new groove in the brain. But I have to do that long enough to make that connection smaller. And then the old synapses kindly breaks. But it doesn't fully ever break because old patterns can come back. If we do not stay conscious, continue to practice, watching our thinking, watching what we're saying to ourselves, watching our choices. So that's why your old patterns came back, because you haven't been doing the new ones long enough for it to become ingrained and become a new personality, a new way. It does, when I did it, it took me about 3 months, maybe 3.5 months of just constantly being aware of what I was thinking, what I was saying to myself, my choices. And then the behavior that I was trying to change, it just went away. I woke up one day and I was like, oh, wow, I don't do that anymore. I didn't even realize it. I was like, oh, this actually worked. I don't do that anymore. But if you have a series of events or a series of traumas or something like that, it can wake up the old patterns. It can wake them up. So they don't ever fully, because the body doesn't ever forget anything. Your DNA does not actually ever forget anything. So it can come back. Does that make sense? Right? So
Very much so.
the
I
thing
like
is
the metaphor.
yeah, so your brain makes synapses connections with everything that you do for every person, every place, everything. And we just start repeating patterns. We don't even know we're doing it. We don't have to think. So that's the first part. The second part is compassion, which when you start to practice in the spiritual space, and especially after listening to Eckhart, I have been in that space where it's not that you don't care, but you're detached. So you don't get emotionally wrapped up into an event or something that's happened. And I found this starting to happen in my day job. So my day job as a counselor, where people would tell me things, but I was over here on the spiritual realm, and I'm just like, well, that's your soul's journey, and you have to. And I was like, okay, wait a minute, that's not going to work here. I have to. I can't just be like, no problem. You'll just get it in the next lifetime. Right? I couldn't do that. So I've been in that space from listening to Eckhart's teaching and other teachers, where what it is just total detachment. You do not attach to anything that's happening or any of the stories or any of the emotions. And it's not that you don't care. It's just you don't allow those stories to start, and you don't allow the emotions to entangle you. So I always like to say that from the stories that I know about Jesus, he didn't need anyone, but he loved everyone. He didn't need for anything, he didn't want for anything, and he loved everyone and he loved everything. That's detachment with still having love and compassion. Right? So you can still have compassion, and you can still have love, and you can still have empathy for empathy is a tricky word, but empathy for what the people are going through. Empathy implies that you're empathic, that when you're empathic, you take on the emotion. Sympathy is feeling, sorry for somebody. So there's a fine line between the two of them. But you want to understand what the person's going through, and you want to have compassion for them as a human and as a soul, but you don't want to get caught up in it. There are some people, especially with the wars and things that are going on, they're really caught up with what's happening. And it's not that we shouldn't have compassion. And are these things more of a negative tone? Yes. But at the same time, you have to remember that these are souls in a human form. They're not really humans. Does that mean that what's happened is okay? No. But they're a soul that did choose that experience. They did choose to go through that. And in that sense, then you can see the bigger picture, and you can say, okay, that was meant to happen. Maybe it wasn't the best thing that happened, and many of the things are not, but you still can understand that there's, for whatever reason, that was supposed to happen. And again, I don't agree with the whole Hitler situation and the Nazi situation. I don't agree with it. I think it's horrific. However, that is a soul lesson we are still learning from. We are still learning. You don't treat people that way. You don't do that to people. You don't separate people like that. You don't just kill people like that. So when you look at it from the spiritual perspective, that is how you can have compassion, but you're not attached. Right?
Thank you. It's good.
You were going
So-
into something about people passing away as well, April. before we
Oh,
started
yeah, yeah.
the Facebook Live, if you want to explain that too. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Which I'm actually dealing with right now because somebody in my family, we were just notified that they're ill and they are elderly, very elderly, close to 100. And you know, all of those emotions and those feelings come up of, you know, why do the good people leave, and this isn't fair, and why is this happening? You know, all of those things. Death is always a lesson in valuing life. Always. It's always a lesson in what is love? What is being there for people? What is my life purpose? What am I doing here? It's always a lesson in that. And what I do know is not just from, you know, basically researching hundreds and hundreds of NDEs, near-death experiences, but also because I am a psychic medium, no one dies before their time. Period. I literally do not care how you die. You don't die before your time. It doesn't matter if it's suicide, if it's death, murder, if the doctor left a sponge in you, it does not matter. It literally doesn't matter. We can blame the doctor and sue the doctor and all of that, but it still wasn't the doctor. It was because it was your time. That doesn't mean that there should be, you know, bad doctors in the world, but yeah, you don't die before your time. If it's not your time and you still have things to do, still have things to accomplish, and you're able to accomplish them, you will be sent back and you will be told it's not your time.
And this is when people survive really bad accidents, let's say, and it's almost like impossible. And then they come to life and live, or there are others that hardly anything happened and they just.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep, exactly. There's people that they look and they're like, there's no way you're alive. And they're alive because they're supposed to be alive. The only exception to the rule is what we call exit points. So when you set up your lifetime, you set up exit point, and those are times in your life where you should have died, but you didn't. Those, if you are either not on your path, or there's been too much pain in your life, you're not able to heal, you won't be able to finish your purpose this time, you can take an exit point. So there are exit points that are set up in a person's life. If they're not going to be able to make it, or it just becomes, it's a lot here. It is a lot here. There's a lot that happens. It's not easy.
But is it possible that this exit point is that you decide to stick around for someone else? Like if you
take an exit point, then it's okay because those were set up for you to take. If you come back from your exit point, or you stay or you don't take it, it's because you're supposed to come back. You don't necessarily, I mean, you can say that you come back for somebody else, but it's still always about your own soul's growth. So a lot of people will say, I came back because my mother needed me, or I had my children, or I had my husband, or something like that. But at the same time, it's still because of your own soul's purpose.
So what's the purpose of the exit points if you're really not taking them?
Well, most people do take their exit points, but again, those are times in your life where you should have died, or you would get like a severe illness, or maybe you would have a really bad car accident, and they're wake-up moments. They're moments for you to be like, okay, maybe I need to make some changes.
So I have a question, April, and eternally grateful for your insights and wisdom. Thank you. Since you were saying that you are psychic and a medium, So when people in your family are passing away, why is it sadness? Wouldn't it be so I was trying to explain this to Vidya, who has lost her mother 3 weeks back, right? That we have to, and the same as you, I've taken up a course with Dr. Eben Alexander, who had a near-death experience, and he explains the whole near-death experience, right? The death experience. So why are we feeling sad or heavy about somebody passing away when we know when that soul exits that body, that soul returns to infinite love? So why are we taking that infinite love away from them? Just because we are so attached to, like Eckhart says, right? The human being is so attached to the physical form, whether it is our child, like there's so many human beings that mourn the death of their child. I mean, that soul came in, they lived their, whatever the karma, or whatever their um, accumulation was, right? And it was time for them to leave, and they left, right? And why would I take that away from that soul that they're returning to infinite love? Wouldn't we rejoice? Wouldn't we celebrate that they finished whatever pain and suffering they needed to suffer for this lifetime, that they were part of our soul group or soul family? They took birth, they passed away. I'm going to rejoice, celebrate their life. Why should I feel sad or heavy or anything negative about them passing away? Why should there be any negativity associated with any human being passing away?
Yeah. Well, it's
There should be zero negativity, right?
yeah,
Right?
well, there should be, right? But at the same time, it's love. We have this person in our life, and this person makes us feel that emotion called love. And most of us don't know how to feel that emotion without some form of attachment. So this person represents love. And when the person passes away, it's the heart that's hurt. It's the heart that needs to heal, because the heart is missing that source of love, either the source of love that you were getting or giving. And the heart has to heal from the loss. So, and that is something that I realized, like I said, years ago, when there was supposed to be a baby in the family, and then the pregnancy didn't work, and it was very, very early. It was only like a couple months, and I couldn't figure out why I was so sad. I was like, what is going on with me? This baby is not even here. I was so sad. And what I realized was, even within that couple of months, my heart had grown, enlarged, and made space for that baby, even though the baby was not here. So it's your heart. It's our heart capacity. It's that center that fills with these people. And when that person is left, we think that there's a hole there because the physical is not here, because we are attached to the physical. But the transition is knowing that they're not gone. They're just in a different
Exactly.
form. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then
But we
can
haven't been
always
taught that.
we can always connect with that other
Right.
in
Like, we
in
haven't been
their
taught
other
that.
realm. In that other realm, if we were still enough, we can always connect with them, right? That is the true connection. And
Yeah, it's the missing of them in the physical form, and there's a space for grief. I do think that that's mostly our culture and our society, that, but
mhm.
I think that we're starting to move towards not doing that so much, not grieving so much and for so long. I have many people too that they have guilt. They have guilt for somebody else passing away, and they stop living even though they're still alive because this other person passed away. I have a lot of people that do that too.
But then
So yeah,
why would you have that guilt? isn't that like you are that becomes a limiting belief that my life ends with the other person's life?
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
Dr. Joe Dispenza was explaining it to somebody who was expressing grief over somebody passing away. I don't know if it was their son or who it was, and Dr. Joe was saying if he were to pass away, his children definitely he would. You know, if he were to pass away, do we want our children to suffer? No, go enjoy your life.
Right.
You're done with this connection, right? Go. It's time for you to enjoy your life, and that's what Dr. Joe Dispenza was saying, that he would never want his children to grieve over his death. He's done, right?
Yeah.
So that cognition or that awareness, that self-awareness needs to be there around death, right? That they shouldn't be a single ounce. And this is where that Eckhart calls it presence. Dr. Joe Dispenza calls it brain and heart coherence, right? That brain and heart coherence is needed where we are generating love even if somebody is passing away. There is a truth. Yes, we can experience the grief for a day or two. We can process the grief, but use that presence power to generate love for that person and celebrate their life, right? Because now no longer are they in that physical body that was torturing them. Look at
Mhm.
what they were
Mhm.
suffering. Maybe they were suffering from heart disease. They were suffering I'm sure whoever it is, especially if they are age 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, they're experiencing some health issues, right? Some people are experiencing strokes. Some people are experiencing cancer. Some people, so if that soul departs, right, they're done with life, right? Experiencing this lifetime. Then again, and especially I learned from the Convoluted Universe um, series by Dolores Cannon, and you hooked me onto Dolores Cannon. I love that, April. She has so many examples of people went into the sun and became a being, like a energy being in the sun, or they were some energy being on the moon. The moon is inhabited by all these beings, and there are these all these planets. There's so much interdimensionality to who we are.
Mhm.
So why are
Yeah,
we suffering this 3D world and this 3D this thing,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So
we've had our thinking has been very, very limited, and we have been told all these things that are not true, and that, you know, we're these small little humans, and most of us, it's only been one lifetime. I have people that I work with that uh, I can't fully express these views to. I think I said, what did I said to this one? I said, they had somebody who passed, and I'm like, well, you know, that is okay because, you know, they're on the other side, and, you know, they're well. And they're like, no, they're not. They're in the grave. They're waiting for Jesus to come. Like, so
right, their
this is a
limiting
belief
beliefs
system
are
that's still
mhm,
current, you
mhm,
know, that we are not these interdimensional, you know, dimensional beings. We're not souls. We're not
right.
energy, you
Exactly, that
know.
that soul exited the
So
body.
that, I mean,
And
that's why. But I agree that we definitely need to move towards that, and we need to move towards knowing that we are all one. We're all connected. We don't die. We're source energy, which
right,
can't be killed.
especially
So
if I think
I think, and I do think that we're starting to move that way, where people are starting to, you know, we don't, not everybody is having these big, long, drawn out, day long funerals for 5 days. And, you know, um, I had an experience once at a funeral. It wasn't a close family member, but I just went to support a friend. And
mhm,
I don't know, really know what happened to me, but I'm in this funeral home and I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I'm just kind of like beside myself, and I'm just looking around, and in my foot, it's like this is so weird. This is so weird what these people are doing. And then and I'm also having the thought of saying, what are you thinking right now? But it was like, these people are crying over this body. This person's not here.
Exactly.
And it was the most weird experience that I had. But it was a very eye-opening experience.
And that's
that,
what,
you know, being in this building, crying over this body that is passed away, the person's not even there, is a very odd behavior.
and then their pain body, I think their pain body got fodder, right? And the pain body is using that pain to feel all the more
Your
pain.
sound
Like,
is off, Poonam. Or is it me?
can y'all hear me?
Yes, I can.
No,
So is it you,
I
April?
can't. Can you hear her, Patricia?
Yes, and I can hear you.
You can. Oh, so it's me. It's me? What happened?
Hear you.
For some reason, I can't hear you.
Can you hear Patricia?
That's weird.
Can you hear me?
My sound is on. My volume's on.
But can you hear me or just Poonam? I don't think April saw your text, Poonam.
No worries. So going back to your, are you able to hear us, April? Now we cannot hear her.
Yeah, we can hear April.
So going back to your, by the time,
Weird.
are you
We
able
can
to
hear
hear us?
Both of my earbuds just like died.
Okay, but can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
And we
Okay,
can hear
fantastic.
you very well. So maybe
It's better that your earbuds did not work. So going back to Patricia and your panic,
it was much less intense, but still my body went through something during the night.
so what you were saying, the facts of the situation, like Eckhart says, right? Look at the facts of the situation. So what you would do if you had enough presence power in that moment, what you would do, the fact of the situation is, I cannot, right now, I cannot replace the tire because it's late night, right? It's darkness. I cannot call AAA or whatever, it's too late, correct? Correct?
Yes.
So I will deal with it tomorrow in the morning. I'm going to call work and tell them I cannot be at work. I have a personal issue.
No,
Correct?
no, it's yeah, it was my daughter's car, so I still went to work. It's just, you know.
No, what I'm saying is in your mind, how you should process it. What you should process it as, instead of going into panic mode,
Mhm.
I cannot deal with it right now. I will do that first thing in the morning. I will call work and cancel work and get my daughter's car. Do you need to get your daughter's car fixed exactly the next morning?
No.
You didn't have to, right? Correct?
Yes, but
So
I didn't.
okay, so if you did not have to, then that is what is. I don't need to, do I need to fix it tomorrow? No. I can go to work, my car is working. There ends the worry. So you have to realize that you have this limit, as April was saying. You still have that condition pattern, that the picture of your, remember during the group meditation, I was telling Vidya that people from India have this. So in India, there's a mythology or a story of this god called Rama, who was a son who gave up his throne. He was the king. He gave up his throne because his father said, father got under the influence of his stepmother and said, you need to leave for to the forest for 14 years. And the son just blindly accepted that what the father is saying, I need to obey my father, right? I need to obey my father. So he just blindly said, okay, if that is your wish, I will go away for 14 years. And then he went through a lot of challenges because he went away for 14 years. Now that mythology is ingrained in every Indian woman and man, genetically, it's written in our genes that we need to blindly follow our parents. Right? And if you went against your parents, you would like you would feel like you're going through hell and damnation. Right? Does that make sense? If you were to say something against, that is the mythology that's written in our genes. So the same way, you being in the family where your mother is so helpless that she's always been, that is your picture of what a woman should be, is helpless and waiting on men to save her. Why? You can call a towing guy for $200. You can pick up the phone, call a towing person, say, hey, come fix my tire, right?
Yes.
What prevents you as a woman from picking up the phone right there at that moment, calling a towing company and saying, hey, my tire is flat. Can you come? Can you fix this? I mean, instead of understanding that there are millions of people, the planetary intelligence is available and the towing person can be a woman or a man. It doesn't have to be exactly a man. I need to call a towing company and take it to whatever, Discount Tire or whatever, and get the tire fixed, right? Whatever the tire place is, I need to take the car to a towing, get it towed to a tire place and get it fixed. Or my daughter has to come back and do this, right? That's her car. She left, she didn't realize that her tire, she never probably takes it for a monthly check for tire pressure. She didn't take good care of the car. That's the consequences of her actions, right? When she comes back, she needs to deal with it, right? And that moment, you make two decisions. Either when she comes back, she's going to deal with it, or I will deal with it the next day. And that moment, it ends. It does not get into this cycle of, oh my God, what is going to happen? Am I going to be able to do it tomorrow? Oh, I don't have a husband. I don't have a brother. I don't have a father who I can call, and that person be the damsel in distress. I've told you millions of times, right? You have this damsel in distress kind of signature pattern that you need to overwrite. Exactly what April said. That archetype of a damsel in distress is within you. And the moment you notice that pattern, go, oh, I'm going back to my old self. I'm going back to the damsel in distress old self that my mother has done for years. And that's why I'm trying to get you for a few years to cut off your relationship with your mother a little bit, because you are overriding, every time you talk to her, you're overriding that damsel in distress pattern, because you're seeing her demonstrate the damsel in distress pattern over and over.
Override. Yeah, I'm
over
deepening.
and over. You are deepening that groove, like what April said, right? That Forrest, you're just walking down that same path of damsel in distress over and over and over and over again. And the neuroplasticity is, you need to overwrite that pattern and say, I'm an unlimited genius. I am magnificent. I'm invincible. Right?
Yes, you are correct. And the damsel in distress is also the other partner that I feel incomplete without a husband, I guess, without a man in my life, a partner, because I did not know. First, I was like, I had always my dad, and then living with my parents and, dad. And then I got married and was my ex-husband. So I never was really alone as a female without the male, taking care of me. So
So you need to override that pattern, recognize that pattern, that I am so used to a man always in my life, either it is my father, brother, or husband for all these years. I mean, I've been divorced for 21 years, right? I've been alone for 19 years now, right? It's 19 years. I never feel that I need a man.
but you have a son that takes
No,
care
but
of you, no?
no. If
No?
things happen to me, I have to take care of it myself. If I get stuck on if my car broke down, which I gave you an example, my car engine blew up, right?
Yeah.
Because the radiator, pebble hit my radiator and burst my radiator. So the whole thing overheated, the car overheated and it like shut down. And I kept driving it and stupidly instead of bringing the car to the side on the, what do you call it?
Shoulder.
Shoulder, getting it on the shoulder, I kept driving it and then it busted, right? So anyway, but I know I can pick up the phone, call her. What is the logical step? The logical step is you have to call a person that can
Service.
tow your car, take it to a service center, take it to either the dealership or the mechanic, right? And then get it fixed. Those are 3 logical steps. If you cannot think in that logic, right? Where is a husband or where is any father or brother involved in that 3 logical steps?
So my thinking is, okay, so I see and he observe how other families or have that. I hear stories that, oh, my car broke, but I called my husband, he came and fixed it. Or I called my father, like,
Yeah, your husband is the towing guy or towing girl.
Yeah,
You pick up the phone and call the towing
so
company.
you're comparing yourself to others. You're comparing,
Exactly.
that's comparing, and then also, victim, I don't have anybody for me. Well, you have
Yeah.
a tow guy,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, so,
What you're not realizing, Patricia, is the universe in that challenge, right, is giving us an opportunity to let the love flow into somebody else. Like, can we have, like, I was so grateful when I had this situation. I told the towing guy that he brought me to the mechanic, right? The mechanic is in the same neighborhood as where I live. So I told him, can you go ahead and drop me off at work? I mean, at home, instead of me waiting at the mechanic, call Uber. And he said, yes, I'll drop you off. And I gave him $40 extra, right? On top of his towing fee. Now, what is that? That is just gratitude that, look, the universe brought me somebody that had the compassion. He already got a call from another person in the neighboring city to come pick them up for a tow while he was towing me, right? So I knew he had a customer waiting. But look how, so to know how planetary intelligence, grace is available. If you cannot honor, I mean, think of how much grace is there. Instead of going into this victim mode, look at the grace in that. The planetary intelligence is there helping me no matter what form. This is just a stranger that I met 5 minutes ago as a towing person. Or, when my car broke down, it was like on, like right off the interstate, I took the exit and it broke down right there, right? So now people are exiting at 60 miles per hour and it's dark, like it was early in the morning. People are exiting at 60 miles per hour and my car was right there. I actually literally got so scared. I got out of my car. I took my laptop bag and my purse, and I stood on the side because I knew somebody was going to hit my car. A few minutes later, somebody that was driving past saw my car broke down. They called 911 and called the cops of that city and said, go, there's a car broken down, go watch that car. And so a cop came and he lit his lights behind me so that nobody would hit me.
Mm,
And he waited until the towing guy came.
nice. Yeah, nice.
When
Right?
when I drive on the highway to work every day, and every once in a while there is person on the shoulder with the, either help or the cops, I'm like blessing them, and I say so thankful for the servicemen that they're available for those that need help. So
That
I
could be you. That could be you. Like if
forgot
they
about.
and I asked the policeman, right? I asked the cop. I asked him, "How is it? How did you end up knowing that my car was here?" And he said, "Oh, one of my like some official was driving by. They saw my car and they could not stop because they were driving at such a fast speed. So they just called the police station and said, "Hey, come. There's a car that is broken down on that street," and gave them the coordinates of where I was. My car had broken down, right? And I asked him, so how did you end up like do you all do this? And he said, yes, that's part of the community service, because we know people are driving so fast they'll come hit you,
It's amazing.
right?
Yeah.
People won't see
So when you live very into the 3D, you see it, oh, it's just the service, that's what happens, and you don't see anything enlightened about it, anything graceful. But when you come from that understanding that planetary intelligence always have it set up, you see even the cop or the servicemen that come and help you tow your car as
right.
light workers, whatever.
Exactly. There's God in everything. Like the universe has to send us somebody to help us. Like, and the towing guy I was telling the towing guy, can you just take me to the dealership to have this fixed? And he's like, no, let me take you to the mechanic. I live in a very small town. So he said, let me take you to a mechanic. And the first mechanic did not respond. The second mechanic responded. And he is such a sweetheart, the second mechanic. It was divine intervention. Why did the first person not respond?
Right.
And you would get frustrated, right? Oh my God, am I going to get in? No, the second person responded, and we've used him for the past, I've lived here 2 years. After that event, like for everything, I just take it to him. The car just goes to that same mechanic over and over and over and over again. So look, I am in a strange place. I just moved here 2 years back. I found a mechanic. The whole situation gave me that helpful tip of here is a place which fixes cars, and you don't have to go to a dealership and spend thousands of dollars. You can just bring it here and they'll fix it cheaper.
It's just talking about this one more time. I was just thinking about it that when I was growing up, really, yes, people knew mechanics, and if for bigger work they needed to but most men will just do it themselves, like especially something like change tires, windshield wipers, lights, like certain really things that you would never think twice to go to the mechanic because you had some guy in your family or your friend
It
that
doesn't have to be, but doesn't have to be that way. If you have not learned it yourself, if I don't know how to change a tire, if I don't know how to change the windshield, I'll take it to the service. I'll take it to the mechanic. Hey, now change my windshield wiper. Take it to the tire store. Hey, change my tires. Why am I changing tires? I earn enough money to pay all these people and see the grace in that itself, right? So one, I am in paying them. If I were to say I'm going to change my tires, I'm going to save money, that is such a contraction in awareness, contraction of abundance. But if I say I earn enough, I work enough that I can go pay somebody once in a while to go change the tires, right? I'll go ahead and pay you, right? You're taking care of their family, you're taking care, think of the abundance that you're giving them instead of this contraction of, oh, I don't have any money, I need to be the one that changes the tire, I need to do all the car repairs so that the minor car repairs, so or the minor house repair. I'd much rather like, oh, I call if there's scratches in my drywall, like I had a rented car and there was a huge car, so it went hit my drywall in my garage and poked a big hole, right? I just called the handyman and said, hey, come fix that drywall. Paid him like $100. Gone. There's no sadness that I need to have a husband that'll come fix my drywall, or I need to, oh, I don't know how to do this stupid, simple stuff. No. I'm earning money too, so that I can let that current, so bring that abundance around currency as well. If you don't bring that abundance, then we will always not have enough. Remember, I was explaining this to Melba. We have to know currency, money, as a current. It's a give and take, give and take. We earn and we give. We pay other people and their families are taken care of from what we give them, right?
Oh,
And then the universe in the return, something will happen and it'll take care of ourselves. So remember, last year I paid for Melba's tuition for the conscious manifestation course. I paid for somebody else that is a Facebook member. And then I paid for Francesca's, something with Francesca to attend the Vancouver talk with Eckhart. I didn't worry about who would pay me back, like who's going to pay me back. A month later or so, my work people said, oh, you have to work Saturday and Sunday. We'd pay you overtime for Saturday and Sunday. So I've earned that money many times over.
mm,
Right?
yes.
But that is the trust that Dr. Joe and Eckhart give us in trusting the unknown. If you read my book, at the very end, I say that it is always a journey into the unknowable. The more we are in the unknown and we trust the unknown, trust implicitly that whatever is happening, I don't know, it's unknown. What I need to do tomorrow about the tire is completely unknown to me, but I trust that the help will arise. Make sense?
Yeah, it's a great, Q&A just about really a flat tire, but it brings so much, to different perspective on how we can be aware of what's going on versus just follow the old patterns.
And it's very much related to how much, what Eckhart says, right? How much we can be in stillness. As Dr. Joe says, how much we can be in that void, how much we can be in that nobody, nothing, nowhere, no time, nobody, no thing, nowhere, no time, right? That is the stillness that Eckhart is talking about. The more we are still, the more we are aligned with that trusting the unknown.
Yes.
Right? That whatever happens. So did you get your car fixed, your daughter's car's fixed or not?
Not yet, because I called the tire store there. It's very close to me, like 3 minutes away. And I asked her if I get the AAA come and just pump the tire so I can drive
Mhm.
just there, and if they can fix it. They said yes, just as long as I don't try to drive on a flat tire because it will destroy it. But if I
Right.
put the air in it, and also my boss has the little compressor, he said, I'm
Mhm.
just gonna load it and you can just take it and put the air. So I already have options. So it
Mhm.
wasn't that I didn't know. I knew I would figure it out right away. I had a picture of the Mavis discount tire right in the neighborhood. I knew that I have AAA. I right away, my
Mhm.
brain took up, but despite that, I still felt that night that, it's like, I think what it is like, why do I have to deal with that? Like, why? That was the question. It's like, okay, I know I can figure out, but why do I have to deal with that?
The
It's like
reason why
on
you
top
have to
of,
deal with it, the reason why you have to deal with that is your presence needs to flow into that phone call that you make to the discount tire person. Your presence needs to, the universe has set up a challenge where your presence needs to flow into this AAA person whenever you call AAA, right? Your presence needs to flow when you drive to discount tire. Remember what I said? It's about being so totally and completely present in the present moment that you offer up your action as a sacrifice. You offer your action to divinity. When you act in such a way, the universe itself becomes elevated and sublime. So your presence in that moment, like when my car broke down, my presence needed to flow into the officer. I told him how many times I told him I am so grateful that he came. It made his day. I could see in his face that it made his day. I told the towing guy, I'm so grateful that you came immediately, within half hour or so, you came and you brought me back home. I'm so grateful. I told the mechanic, I'm so grateful. Right? You realize what the universe is saying? So look at the second pattern in you. And I've noticed this a lot about you, Patricia. You want life to be exactly like I wake up at 4 a.m. or 3:30 a.m. I make my lemon juice, my celery the juice. I do this.
regimented,
But
right?
if the moment that regimen changes, your world falls apart. But you're not realizing what planetary intelligence is saying. There's something magical and mystical about that moment that you're going to go to discount tire. There's something magical, mystical about calling AAA. Instead of saying this victim story, right? Every interaction, if you listen to Carolyn Mace's evening meditation, she'd say, every sound, when we wake up, every sound, millions of divine things are happening to us the moment we wake up. We are just not realizing it. How much divinity is pouring back into us, right? We're taking just that language, instead of saying, oh my God, why do I have to do this? Why do things have to happen to me? Why do I have to call
Resistance.
AAA? You change it into, look at this magical, mystical moment that I have with interacting with the AAA guy, right? Look at this magical, mystical moment that's going to happen with my, with this discount tire person that I need to interact with. Or you can just leave the whole thing. Let your daughter deal with the whole thing. Why do you have to deal with it? She's
Right, because
21.
I wanted to be a savior here, and I want to prove it to her. Look, I take care of it because your father is not here, so look at
Oh,
me.
that's again your ego, right? So instead of saying, let her take care of it, she's young and she has adjustable hours. Maybe you have 8 to 5 job or 7 to 4 job, but she has adjustable hours. She doesn't need to be, she's coming back from vacation. She may have time to call
Saturday, right.
AAA. Yeah, she may have time to call AAA and take her car to.
I already found out, actually, I called Mavis. It was a very, like you said, wonderful conversation with young girl. And she actually said, we close at 6 every day, but tomorrow, which is tomorrow, we'll open till 8:30. So I'll be waiting here for you. Like, it was so sweet. And then, so if I decide to go, yes. But she also said they're open on Saturdays and Sundays till 5. So if my daughter needs to do it on the weekend, or I have to take her or something we do together as a bonding, let's get a flat tire fix. It's possible. So universe is giving me different ways to fix it
Exactly.
and just abandoned
But
ways.
what I would work on, what I want to tell you is what you need to work on is get out of this limiting belief that some father, brother, husband needs to save me. You did that when you had an accident. This is a second opportunity, and this is why you're getting these experiences. You had the same exact thought when you had the accident. When
Yep.
you sideswept somebody. You
Yes.
said, I don't have a father, brother, husband to take care of me. Now again, so these challenges would keep coming until you let go of this limiting belief.
But is it so completely bad to want to share your life with someone?
No, it's not completely bad, but you have to be in a position where you are in equal to that person. Like you don't need them to actually fulfill you. You're fulfilled in yourself. And yeah, if you have a second person, yeah, it's fun. You can do things together. There's somebody to cook for, right? Or they can cook for you, or what have you. It's not bad. Like if somebody were to come into my life right now, yeah, that's fine. But nobody has. I think I don't give out those vibes that I need somebody. But if there was somebody that came up, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would be fine. Yeah.
Thank you.
But
Yes.
then, it's like they have to realize that half the time I'm not available because half the time is dedicated to most of my personal life and that's why a person does not come in my life, because my evening life is completely dedicated to my love with the divine, right? The love affair with the divine. I need my meditation. I'm not available to a second human being. Like even if you were to come to my house, like after I'm done for my work, probably talk to you while I'm eating, but then I'm gone, right?
No.
I'm
Right.
meditating, like and then sleeping. So it's like I won't be available for the second. So that's why there's no room for the second person.
So let me ask you, this is a little changing. I know you mentioned that you're planning a trip to India. And is that like that something came up, or it's a purpose, or you just need to
I need
just
to take care of some personal stuff. So
okay. So
it's
it's
been
not
a
like
while, right?
vacation to see your family or anything.
Part of it is, but not completely. Some of it is like I have to do some paperwork after my mom passed away. I need to sign some papers, and it's easier if I go there in person. But I'm going to find out. I think it's a lot of effort if I send papers from here, right? Sign papers from here. So I
I
might as
thought
well.
that you would want to like attempt some kind of, spiritual event, maybe with Sadhguru or something.
It's weird, like you said this, and my brother said the same thing. My brother asked me if I wanted to come attend one of his retreats. I'll see. Because
Because
it
it's an
will.
opportunity. It's an also, you can do other stuff, yes, while you're there, but that would be a great experience for you.
So what it is that month will be the month that I don't get paid. So I'm going to be like very conservative about what I spend, right?
Mm.
I mean, I think those will be the 2 or 3 months that I don't get paid, because I'll have to roll off from work. So anyway, it's getting late for you. It's getting late for me. I need to go to work tomorrow. So I hope this helps. And I'm wishing
Much
that
so.
I'm wishing that you make the decision to change that aspect. The damsel in distress, work on it. The victim identity, work on it. That I'm going to give up my old self and I'm going to move to this new self. And that's why I gave you the video of the new testimony, the most recent testimonial about somebody developing, I mean, they rebuilt their own rectum that had been taken away. Oh my God, this lady is like 70 years old or something. And the doctors told her that she was doomed to this incontinence and like they'd taken out her rectum. That's how she was going to live. And she built her at that age. If she can do it, any of us can do it. And in your case, you can bring abundance in both relationship and material abundance, right? Because you get very contracted about spending I can see the moment you have to make a phone call to spend money, you get contracted about it, right? That's the worry that starts. So
It's yes, it's that, but also I feel and I noticed that, thank you for pointing it out, that it's also my father, when I was growing up, it's like a value of the person is what they can do for themselves. Like if the fact that he could fix everything and do it and not needing anyone was the standard that he said, and he is like,
look at how many limiting beliefs you have.
right.
Look
Yep.
at how many limiting beliefs you have. This is exactly what Eckhart calls conditioned patterns of our society, our culture, the family we grew up in, the country we grew up in. These are the conditioned patterns that exist in us, and we need to erase them.
Yes.
We need to erase those patterns because no longer in America do we have to have a person know everything inside out. There are 100 million other workers that are available, and in me paying that worker, right, is exactly like why I buy organic celery or organic fruits, is I'm paying that farmer and his family in my purchase of that organic celery.
And this is interesting
Right?
because what I do, I love that when you say that, because at the same time, when I work for the company right now who offers pest control and wildlife, right, control, nuisance wildlife, and people, yes, can do it themselves, but they choose to call us and pay us to provide that service.
Exactly.
I appreciate it because they're paying for my life.
Exactly.
By
Same.
hiring the service people.
Exactly. Exactly. They're paying your salary. The more customers that join, the more, and that's what I feel when I order my pest control service. I have a pest control service. This year I ordered a lawn service too. So I'm paying for their, I know in my paying whatever I'm paying for their families, right?
Right. So when you
When
think about way,
millions of us do it, we kind of pay for that many families. So okay, let's end this thing. This was a beautiful discussion. I wish it was live. I have to figure out about this live stream, but many blessings. Eternally grateful.
have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank
Thank
you. Thank you for choosing your divinity over your humanity.
Always.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.